I'm Liz Main. When I wrote my little bit of the booklet that we're working our way through tonight, I was working at Youth for Christ. I now work for the Church of England in Birmingham as an Assistant Director of Mission with a focus on youth. There's lots of people going, my new job is... I've been in the job about 8 weeks, so kind of finding my feet. I'm going to talk to you just for 10 minutes about team. Because all the way through the Bible we see teams coming together to be the vehicle by which God moves his purposes forward. So we see Moses building teams, we see Nehemiah building teams to put a wall back together, and then we see Jesus building teams, and Jesus built both teams and teams within teams. And so when you look at all that stuff, it's like, oh, maybe there's something in there for us as youth workers. You know, youth work shouldn't be a kind of Lone Ranger experience where we're on our own. We need to be building teams. And so therefore it's good to look at team theory, not in a kind of dry, desperate way, but as a way of building really well-functioning teams where the whole team is kind of together, working out the purposes together, and it works in the most positive way possible. And this 10 minutes is about one particular theory of positive team building. There are loads of theories, but we're just going to look at John Adair's theory of team building, and you can Google him and look him up. I'm not going to tell you anything about him, so if you like his team theory, go and find him out. But if we're going to look at team theory, we kind of need some teams, don't we? So the way you have sat is absolutely perfect, because there's a kind of group of you sat in that corner there, there's a group of you sat here, there's a group of you sat here, and there's a group of you sat there. So we're going to make 4 teams. So if you would just like to snuggle up together, some of you know each other, some of you don't. And what we're going to find out is which is the best of those 4 kind of put together from scratch teams. And then we're going to work out how team theory applies to that. This is where we immediately break into extroverts and introverts. And the extroverts are like, yes! And the introverts are like, don't make me leave my seat. Okay, so humour me. Come on, over there in the corner, humour me a little bit, come together. And what you need is one member of your team needs to be blindfolded. Okay? I have an array of beautiful blindfolds. So somebody needs to volunteer or be volunteered to be blindfolded. Perhaps it's the scarf catcher, right? Okay? So we got somebody blindfolded. You don't need to see, you can get the blindfold on, okay? Various different colours and beautiful blindfolds. And once you've been blindfolded, you are then the only person on the team who can actually do anything, okay? The rest of you need to sit on your hands because you're not going to be able to move. And what we're going to do is we're going to do John Adair's theory of positive team building through cake. Okay, actual cake. So here's some cake. Can you just dish out some cake, please? Lovely, you're going to get a cake, okay? And so those of you without a blindfold, you can obviously see the cake, which the person with the blindfold can't. But you can't actually, somebody needs to hold it, but that's all you can do to move. And what I want you to do as a team is I want you to cut the cake into 5 equal pieces. Okay, but the only person who can touch the knife and cut is the person who is blindfolded. Okay, the rest of you can't touch the knife, you need to leave it in the box, you're cheating already. You've only got about 45 seconds, so away you go. Now you've got 30 seconds. That's 15 seconds. One team's finished, no pressure on the rest. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right, stop what you're doing. Okay, let's have a look. So we can start over here. You can take your blindfolds off now if you like. So, this team are ahead of the game, there isn't there? So I've got 4 quite equal Sorry to eat it. What we got over here? Oh, hello. Well, we've got kind of 4 and a big one on the end, which I think is the reward for the person who was cutting. Not bad at all. Right, so let's have a look over here. Oh, hello. This one is a kind of Picasso of equal pieces. Have you started eating it already? I'm sorry, I've realised I've become an absolute nightmare for the person filming. I'm so sorry. Right, and over here, oh, this is not bad actually. We've got one for the person on Slimming World, and the rest are not bad. Okay, so how on earth does that relate to a bloke who wrote some theory on team, okay? John Adair basically looked at team and said, within team there are individuals who have needs, there is a task to be done, so I gave you a task to do, and there is the group. And all of those have needs, they have requirements, they have things that make them function really well, and they have things that make functioning harder. And what John Adair did was he looked at those 3 things and he created them into a kind of giant Venn diagram. And what he was saying was, in any given situation, different bits of that 3-circle Venn diagram will be bigger and smaller depending on the job that you're doing together as a team. Okay, so if you think about your kind of cake cutting, there was a task which those who are really competitive kind of get really into the task and really focused on the task, and we need to get these 5 things cut and it's going to be amazing. And then there was the needs of the individual, particularly in this kind of one, there was, the individual who couldn't see needed the support of the rest of the team to make that activity happen. And then there was something that you were all doing together, because actually you were all committed together to cutting this cake up into 5 pieces. And John Adair's theory looks at that and basically says, to build really positive teams, we need to be looking at the needs of each of those things in proportion to what is happening. So, for example, if in your cake cutting nobody had spoken, the individual would really have struggled. They might have been able to do it by feeling, but then it would have been jolly unpleasant to eat later. Or maybe, if you'd looked at it and you'd be like, it's really late, I don't really want cake, I can't be bothered to cut. No, everybody was very good, you all actually participated, which was amazing. But you could have chosen as a team not to. And then, then all of those things come together to form a well-functioning team. And as we are building teams in youth work, that gives us a lens to look at the teams that we're building, that we're working with. So what are the needs of the individual? What is the task that we have been called to do? And how are the group functioning together? And what do I need as the leader to put in to each of those things to make those things happen? Now, the danger is that we start to think, okay, all of those circles need to be equal. I need to balance the needs of the individual and the needs of the task. And the answer is, well, yes, sometimes, but not always. So, for example, if there was a fire and I kind of saw flames pouring in from that door over there, in those 3 circles, my care for the individual and even the group of you would probably be a slightly smaller circle than the task of getting you out of the building. So in that situation, task rules, and we pour all our energy into task. If I'm building a kind of team to do a small group, or to do something together, then actually the different sizes of the individual and the teams are going to be bigger probably than the task. And if that small group then meets and one of my young people in that small group has had something dreadful happen that week, then the circle of the individual becomes larger. And so there isn't a perfect configuration within Adair of those 3 circles. What he encourages us to do is to look at the teams we're building, the tasks we're doing, and the individuals we're working with. And in that given situation, what is the configuration of task and group and individual? What are their needs? And how big do each of those kind of individual circles need to be to function in the most positive and healthy way? He calls us to work out, what do we need to do to achieve the task that we have been called to do? And that might be a social action project, it might be bringing people into faith, it could be all kinds of things. And secondly, what do I need to do to build and maintain the team to work together to achieve that? And finally, how do I develop and care for the individual? And how do I balance those three circles as they work together in the frantic world of youth work where, you know, we see Jesus built his teams by saying, come follow me. When we're building our teams, it's usually not that simple. But actually, as we reflect on the youth work we're doing, models like the Adair model, which is simple yet profound, is a brilliant way to reflect on the teams that we're building, the individuals we're working with, and the tasks that God has called us to.